Well, here we are on a Friday morning, and things are hopping here already. So let me tell you what's going on here. The pumper truck is getting set up, and the guys are setting up the last bit of forms here on the building. And today is pouring day, cement day, so that's going to be a great thing. So we'll show you how all this works here in just a little bit. So here we are on a beautiful summer morning. Actually, this was early fall, and it was a perfect day for pouring cement. This pumper truck is quite heavy and made it up the mountain without any problem with its many axles. And he's getting all set up here, extending the boom out and making sure that it's functional. He's going to run some water actually through it and make sure it's clean and clear and ready to go. The other amazing thing about this pumper truck is that it is able to be, with its boom extended, it can go well over probably 40-50 feet and be able to put that concrete exactly where we need it to be. So without it, this would be a lot of wheelbarrowing, and I'm not even sure how it's even possible over a radiant floor system. So, but more about that a little bit later. So here's our first truck coming up the mountain, and that is a great sight to see, our first cement truck. This is from American Rock, and we're so glad that they actually made it up the hill because a lot of the other companies just didn't want to deliver 6 miles off the grid. And so we're very thankful that they're bringing these trucks. Again, these trucks are about 10 yards of concrete, and it's a lot of concrete to be able to bring up some pretty steep inclines. And so when they're pulling up here, it's a great sight to see, and everybody starts to get excited because the work is about ready to begin. So here we are again, and we're seeing the cement truck. This is actually a forward dump cement truck that is ready to feed into that pumper. And right now they're doing some mixing because after driving from the plant and going up the mountain, they got to make sure the mix it's thoroughly mixed. And we're actually running a fiber mesh mix in this as well. So we had fiberglass added at the plant, and they're making sure that that is thoroughly mixed before they actually pump it. You know, the interesting thing about this pumper truck is that it's got two long hydraulic cylinders, and those two hydraulic cylinders actually receive the concrete, and then it pushes it all the way through this tubing. I can't remember how big the tubing is, but I think it's probably 10 inch to start, and then it goes down to 4 by the time it actually is dispersed. And it's just right here at daybreak. You can see everything set up here with the boom, and just a beautiful backdrop. The sun was just beaming and was warming us up, because it was pretty cool. About higher 50s, thereabouts, maybe low 60s. And now you can see all the structure here, and all the radiant floor heating. And when I think about this, it's quite amazing to think of all the work that's gone into this foundation, all the way from the actual sewer piping, the water piping, the vents, the electrical conduits, and then of course the insulation, and then the radiant floor tubing. It all comes together up into this point where it's ready to receive concrete, and these guys are about ready. This is Gary and his crew, about ready here to pour in about 5 inches of concrete. And so it takes lots of people to be able to work the concrete, because you want to make sure you don't have any voids, and especially on the radiant floor, you got to be careful not to pierce that as well. So they're doing a good job, and we didn't have any leaks in the system, which is wonderful. So as we're pouring here, you might see this gap in the foundation here, and what that is it's a footing for a wall that's going to be going up right beside the stairway, and that's going to so that's a bearing wall that's going to sit on top of that footing, and it's going to hold up the above loft upstairs. And so it was required in the engineering, and they had to dig it down. I think it was about 2 feet, thereabouts, maybe a little bit less than that. So that's got a big amount of concrete just in that pier. And you'll see there's another pier on the other side. That's for a post. You see that hole there as well, and that carries the load on the other side. So again, all these things you got to think about just prior to putting in the concrete, and it all has to be there. as he's floating this here, it kind of brings back memories of the farm when we put up the Quonset, as we called it, the machine shed, and they actually, it was a pretty big facility, at least big for us back then. I think it was probably 50 by 40 or thereabouts. And they poured the concrete, and it just brings back a lot of memories back then when I was growing up as a kid. Here we have the concrete truck. They're cleaning out here, and they have their own water on board. This is that cement pumper, and if you, it's very interesting how it works. It's got two cylinders that kind of push back and forth in opposing pistons, and it's what actually pressurizes that line and pushes that aggregate all the way up the tube and then down into the nozzle there. Pretty amazing piece of technology. We couldn't have done this job without it. Just amazing how that pumper truck can get to a very remote corner. It has a lot of depth, and to be able to deliver that concrete just in the right place. Compared to wheelbarrowing, it is night and day.
Happy so far? One load of what? Concrete. The second truck is really thick. Is it just temperature, or what is it? Sometimes.
So here we are, welcome back to Almost Home Ranch. We are on a very important day. We are on a Friday and we are pouring concrete. And that has been a lot of work to get to this point. As you can see, the guys are working in here, laying it as we speak. Basically, I think we have about 50 some yards of concrete going down 5 inches with fiber mesh. And that goes on top of all the radiant floor heating and all the other conduits, and plumbing and water lines. There's just a lot to think about inside of all that is underneath that concrete. And one thing about concrete is that it's the final piece, and then you can build on top of it. So there's so many things and so many opportunities that we can do after the concrete is up. So As you can see here, we've got pretty much 3/4 of it done, and I think we've gone through 4 trucks already. 4 trucks. So pretty impressive when you think about it. You look in the window and that is all poured. It still has to be finished yet, which is, I understand, this is the pouring is just the beginning of this process. So it's been a long haul to get to this point, but we have perfect weather today. It should reach into the 70s here today. Probably just the right drying weather for the concrete. Here you go. This is what we're looking at here. And that pumper truck is an amazing machine. It's amazing how tall it is and how it can basically, he can put that nozzle anywhere that he wants. He was just telling me that this is easy, just going between the spans. He's been into some situations where they had to come in through a garage door to pump it to the other side. So it was pretty wise of the contractor to leave the roof and the side off here to get this poured. See, there he goes. He's starting up the concrete, which basically the cement truck keeps feeding the hopper, and there's 2 large cylinders in there that compress and push the concrete, and all the way through that 5-inch tube. So that is quite the task. You know, it's an amazing thing to think about that here we are off grid, 6 miles from any utility, probably about 30 minutes from town, and we're pouring concrete. Can you imagine if we had to mix all this by hand, or even by a cement mixer, how long that would take to pour that slab? It would just take an immense amount of time. So I'm very grateful for cement trucks being able to be delivered up here, even though we have to pay a surcharge. I'm very grateful that we have a very talented crew here that is well familiar with laying concrete, and they're going to do an excellent job. They are doing an excellent job. And once we get this all dried, next week comes the roof. So with that, you know, it's some very important work that can proceed. They will start on the roof, get that dried in before the rains. We have been very lucky and very blessed. I would say that is the more accurate way of saying it, is that we have not had any rain on our structure. So basically, other than a few sprinkles here and there. But after this is after they get the roof on, they will put the sides on and then put the steel on, and we'll be dried in at that point in time. And then we can put doors on and start locking up the facility. Meanwhile, my job is, I think, will be to keep going on the solar panels, get them up on the top of the poles right here, and getting the wire in and starting to wire them into the utility room. I'll start hooking up the solar and I'll bring up the batteries and hooking in the charge controller, as well as the charge controller inverter, and then start work on the main panel. So we'll have temporary power here pretty soon. I would say within 2 weeks we'll have power, and then I can start hooking up water, getting in a pressure tank. And if you just think about it today, Here we have that beautiful sun, east sun, and all those panels will be charging full at full capacity. So we're gonna have plenty of power as long as the sun shines, and when it doesn't, then we'll have the generator as well. So once again, I'm just kind of in awe of this moment here, that here we are at Concrete, and you guys are doing a terrific job. Check in with you later.